it can have many different consequences in our culture when we have that distance to ourselves and distance to everything else, like loneliness feeling and many other different kinds of feelings or non-feelings. So, but it's very simple. Somehow it's very, very simple to come back to oneself. Because we have other type of minds, like sense minds. The sense minds, they are very different from conceptual mind. The sense mind, they bring into contact. Like, for instance, body sense. The body sense, you really stay with body sense, then it brings you back into yourself. So this feeling of ourselves, the self-reference, to any moment of time we have a certain self-reference. We have a certain center of ourselves. So we can't have an experience without having a center. There's a central feeling of ourselves, and most of the time there's a central idea about ourselves too. But we have these two, and at least we have the feeling of ourselves. And the way that we pick and choose what we are naming at an individual level has very much to do with that self-feeling. Often we think it's outer reality has changed. And we don't always consider that actually it's me who have changed. And I am creating, or I'm letting reality appear to me accordingly. Basically, spiritual traditions is concerned with changing the level of self-reference. So in spiritual tradition, we're not talking so much about changing each single. We might have maybe, you can say, maybe we have 10 or 20 or 100 self-references that we are using in our daily life, depending on the situation. But in the spiritual tradition, they are not concerned with changing each individual of these into another level. They are interested, they're teaching. In this tradition, they're trying to teach us how to change the level. Instead of using self-reference at a conceptual level, and try to get the self-reference into sense level. Try to get the self-reference into more what we could call some kind of energy level, or you can call it some kind of mind-feeling level. Try to get into, there are many different levels of that. So this is basically what they teach us in the spiritual traditions. This is not easy. It's not easy at all. Especially it's not easy for us because if we don't understand exactly what it is we have to change and transform, and if we don't understand that reality has to change accordingly. It will. But for most people, we have the normal way of reality experience, but think that we have really changed spiritually if we have been going about it for 10 years. We must have changed. It might not be the case, because we might occasionally have an experience of a little bit deeper self-reference, but we don't stay there. So we didn't actually change. We're just exploring the field. Then we are back into ordinary way of experiencing reality. And reality appears accordingly to the way, the minds that we are using. So in ancient cultures, they have access to many different levels of self-references and different types of more and more subtle ways of experiencing. They have a natural access to this, right from their children. Like when she is telling when he was brought up as a small child. I mean, they are helping the children to make all different rituals to keep having the openness, using the whole range of different types of mind. This is exactly what we are not helping our children to do. And we have not been brought up that way either. We have been brought up to try to get away from energy feeling of ourselves presence in our dreams, you name it. Because dreams and dream reality is not reality. So never mind about dream reality. We just need to have access at all these different levels again to become like in the whole full potentiality of being a human being. So this is what spirituality, it has to do. It has to do with mastering to move into the different levels of self-reference and using the different minds naturally from this level, and the way giving a very special accessibility to let reality appear on this very subtle level. So in that way, one is moving from a more dual level into a less and less and less and less dual level towards unity, nature. This is how it's described. So this is like if we approach from the spiritual traditions. So you see, it's not just a matter of we need to know that I have some good self-references. One needs to be able to get in contact with them. So one needs to be able to get into this feeling contact. So, and also one needs to get more flexible in the whole system. We might not need to get into a deep spiritual level, but we need to, at a normal human, to be a normal human, more natural human relation with ourselves. And that is what we call like a sense level. When we are children, we are in that, so we are spontaneous. We have more easy we have more easy to laughter, we have more easy to imagination, we have more easy with playing with reality when we are children. Do you remember? Everything was not so serious and set. We didn't have to put it into that frame. So this kind of level we need to get back into. We need to get into that proximity with ourselves and feeling at home. This is a real basis, and that gives a lot of strength in many other ways. We're building a place, Tarabling, in India. So Tarabling, that was his last wish. While he was already in the death process, he was, maybe some of you know the Tibetan masters. When they master certain of these subtle self-identities, they say when we die, we get into the most subtle. It's a travel to go from this ordinary self reference into more and more subtle, right into to the deepest. The Tarabling was not unhappy dying. He was very excited. It's very strange to say, but he was really excited. Of course, there was a lot of unpleasantness going through a cancer. And of course, he didn't feel that he had finished what he wanted to finish. That was also why he was asking us to continue. And he's saying this project in India is very important. He never wanted a place, but this is important to build. So if you could please continue with that and make the teachings available for Tibetans as well. And I didn't think this was possible at all. So I told him, Rinpoche, I'm sorry, I don't think I can do that. But then he just told me, he said, you don't think, you just go and do it. And I will be there to help you.